In the heart of Africa, where the Nile splits the sand like a lifeline carved by the god, lies a land older than legend, Sudan. A nation that once shaped the world, home to the first iron-melting furnaces, to cities that rivaled Thebes, and to pyramids that outnumber Egypt's own. But today, this same land, blessed with gold, uranium, water, and will, is bleeding. Its people, vibrant and resilient, find themselves trapped in a cycle of wars, poverty, and silence. It shouldn't be this way. Sudan is not a poor country. It is one of the richest nations on earth. Water runs deep beneath its soil. Its land is wide, dark, and fertile. Its mines shimmer with minerals the world would kill for. And its people? Poets, scientists, warriors, builders. So why is Sudan stuck? Why does a land of such promise stumble again and again? Why is the Sudanese citizen too often present in body but absent in action? Enter the idea of Malek Bennabi, the silent philosopher of revival. He wrote, "Renaissances are ruined by producing the half-human. It's not the enemy at the border or the politician in the palace. The true danger lies in the empty desk, the motionless worker, the disengaged mind. We have not been conquered by tanks, but by a quiet erosion of spirit. We have inherited a mindset that mourns what could have been, while fearing to build what could be. But what if this isn't the end? What if Sudan's story is not of decline, but of a long pause before the rise? This is the beginning of a journey, not to blame, but to build, not to point fingers outward, but to look inward and find the path from halfness to wholeness." He was never born broken. He once believed before the world taught him not to. In Sudan, the soul of a child is full of light. But what happens when that light is met, again and again, with darkness? Every child tries at first, tries to learn, to create, to help. But what happens when effort is met with silence? When passion is crushed beneath bureaucracy? When your dream is laughed at, ignored, or punished? The half-human is not a villain, he is a product, forged not in fire but in repetition. Repeated failure, repeated rejection, repeated proof that trying changes nothing. In psychology, this is called learned helplessness, a state where effort dies because every previous effort bore no fruit. So he stops trying, he chooses complaint over creation, passivity over risk, survival over growth. He becomes loud in critique but silent in contribution. He wants freedom without duty, respect without effort, a better country without lifting a single stone. But this mindset wasn't born in one day. It came from generations of shattered attempts, from colonizers who built railroads not for the people, but for loot, from regimes that feared education more than invasion, from a society that mocked the dreamer and rewarded the imitator. The half-human lives in the space between potential and paralysis. He sees what could be, but no longer believes it's worth the cost. But here's the truth Sudan must face. You were not made for half, not as a people, not as a nation. The psychological trap can be broken, not by shouting louder, but by healing deeper, by teaching a generation that effort matters, that work has meaning, that their country is not cursed but calling. This is not the story of victims, this is the story of souls rediscovering their strength. If the half-human is not born but made, then who or what is making him? In Sudan, the system educates but does not awaken. It hires but does not empower. It talks but rarely listens. This is not the failure of individuals. It is the result of structures designed to extract obedience, not ignite purpose. Malek Bennabi warned us, a civilization does not fall in one day. It decays slowly when its institutions forget their reason for being. And so Sudan built schools that fear questions, offices that punish initiative, media that glorify slogans, governments that honor loyalty over competence. What do you get from this? You get a nation of people asking permission to dream, waiting for approval to move, terrified to lead. The cost, the collapse of imagination, the normalization of failure, the inheritance of mediocrity. Where do you belong is asked more often than, what have you done? We do not reward builders, we reward belonging. We do not train problem solvers, we teach them to memorize the problem and stay in their lane. But it wasn't always this way. Sudan once trained its people to build pyramids without cement, to irrigate deserts before Europe knew the Nile's name, to debate in public forums when others were still under monarchies. So what happened? Somewhere along the line, the system began producing citizens for control, not for contribution. It made them spectators of their own fate. But the Renaissance won't come from orders. It will rise from the ruins of this factory of halfness by tearing down the podiums of false pride, by rebuilding schools that teach how to think, not what to think, by restoring value to the question, what will you build with your life? The half-human can be unmade, but only when society dares to reshape its blueprints, not for conformity, but for courage. Every nation fears the enemy at its gates. But what if the enemy lives inside the gates, wearing your uniform, holding your flag, reciting your anthem? He doesn't steal with weapons, he steals with stillness. He is the student who stops reading once the exam is over, the employee who shows up every day but builds nothing, the citizen who yells in protest but sells his vote for bread. He does not destroy the Renaissance with bombs. He ruins it with boredom, with carelessness, with inaction. He is the half-human, and he is the most dangerous kind of saboteur because he thinks he is innocent. Renaissances are ruined by producing the half-human. Malek Bennabi. He joins the reform, but never reforms himself. He chants for change, but fears effort. He points at leaders, but never picks up the brick. The Renaissance doesn't die in gunfire. It dies in yawns, in empty reports, in unopened books, in ideas dismissed with a shrug. This is the slow death, the kind that looks like peace, but smells of decay. We inherited iron, and now we rust. We once tamed rivers, and now we drown in our own neglect. The half-human delays the train just enough for dreams to miss the station. But what if we saw him, named him, challenged him, not with hate, but with hope? Because every silent saboteur can become a silent builder, but only if we stop waiting, only if we say, I will not be the reason my country stands still. The enemy within can be transformed, but only by facing him in the mirror and choosing, each day, not to be half, but whole. Sudan is not a blank page, it is a scroll, written in iron, in gold, in sacrifice. Its story was never meant to end in silence. So how do we rewrite the next chapter? Not with slogans, not with saviors, but with citizens. If the disease is halfness, then the cure is meaning. Sudan must return to the essence of action. Education, not as memorization, but as awakening. Work, not as survival, but as value creation. Democracy, not as ritual, but as responsibility. Freedom, not as escape, but as engagement. This is not about waiting for heroes. It is about producing millions of people who show up every day. With intention, with integrity, with identity. Because Renaissance isn't a palace, it is a habit of doing what's right, especially when no one is watching. Malek Bennabi saw this. He knew the battlefield was not just land, it was the soul, a war between laziness and responsibility, between inherited weakness and chosen strength. When we plant meaning, we harvest miracles. when we teach a child that their effort is not wasted. We give them a future with doors instead of walls. This is not fiction, it's possible, and it begins where all renaissances begin, in the heart. Not with revolution of violence, but a revolution of self-respect, of doing the job well, of keeping the promise, of sweeping the street, not because it's watched, but because it's yours. From duty, we reach dignity. From consistency, we build greatness. Once, Sudan was whole. Not perfect, but powerful. Not wealthy in gold alone, but rich in spirit, wisdom, and will. It built kingdoms where the world expected silence. It forged iron when others still carved stone. Its pyramids whisper stories the world still doesn't fully understand. And even now, beneath the scars, beneath the rubble, Sudan remembers who it was. This land has always carried two truths, glory and grief, memory and loss, potential and paralysis. But today must mark a third, rebirth. The era of the half-human must end. Because Sudan can no longer afford citizens who only demand but do not deliver, who memorize slogans but forget how to sow, how to serve, how to stand. We need a new citizen, one who reads not for the test but for the nation, one who votes not for the food but for the future, one who works not for survival but for significance. This is how Renaissance begins, with ordinary people doing extraordinary things consistently. My father said Sudan was tired. I say, Sudan is waking up. The halfness has broken, the soul has returned, and from these ancient sands, the whole Sudan must rise. Renaissances are not given, they are built, one soul at a time. It began with a post, a simple idea shared in our group by Mohammed Suleiman, a reflection, a mirror, a challenge. Malek Bennabi's words, sharp as prophecy, silent as a whisper, cut through the noise of excuses, blame, and despair. And they demanded one thing, that we look inward. This video was not made to decorate the past. It was made to disturb the present, to ask, what if we are the ones holding Sudan back? Not the foreigners, not the generals, not the ghosts, but us, the silent majority, the ones who watch when we should work, the ones who speak when we should build, the ones who remember but no longer rise. This is not just theory, it is a warning and a roadmap. We are the generation that must break the cycle. We must crush the culture of halfness and nurture a new ethic of responsibility, of action, of value. Let us not admire ideas from a distance. Let us live them, let us teach them, let us become them. For Sudan's rebirth will not come from a miracle, but from a mindset. If this message stirred something in you, don't scroll away. Share this video with one person who still believes in Sudan. Comment with your own step forward, no matter how small. And subscribe to keep these echoes of revival alive. Because Sudan doesn't need half believers, it needs whole builders. And that starts with you.